Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I hope you can hear me. I have my new ear pods in. So first, let me say I'm Erin Harrigan. I'm a business coach and founder of Hustle with Heart Coaching, helping entrepreneurs align results to God's truth. And I am also a brand ambassador for the #1 global healthy living brand. Still early for me. Global healthy living brand Arbonne, and teaching people to live healthier inside and out. So I'm coming to you today with our daily dose of Success God's Way. And if you missed the live that I did in our Success God's Way community, really encourage you to go check that out. I can post the link to the community below. Good morning, Mariana. I can post the link to the group below. But last night we really talked about if we're standing in our own light versus God's light, and what a difference that makes as business owners and entrepreneurs, especially as we seek to build a God-centered business. So it was really awesome. Had a couple of technical difficulties, but really encourage you to check that out. So this morning I'm coming to you with this concept of being driven, God's way. And as a type A driven person, I have spent most of my life driving and striving for results, and really chasing down the dollars and chasing down the clients and chasing down the business. And before I accepted Christ, that was all about me driving and striving to get recognition or awards or titles or money or whatever. And since my life began to transform in October of 2014 when I accepted Christ, I look at being driven very differently, and driven in a way that honors God and serves his people. So it was really interesting to me in this devotional that I have to read this excerpt, which is called Driven by God. And it's referencing the scripture of 1 Kings 8:54-63. But the call-out verse is 1 Kings 8:58, which says, "May he turn our hearts to him to walk in obedience to him." And, a lot of times in business, as we're driving for success, even building a God-centered business, we're still driving to create impact in his kingdom, to help people, whether it's, in my Arbonne business, helping people to live healthier and wealthier, whether you own a salon and you're helping people to feel more confident in the way that they look, or my friend Mariana, who is tuned in right now, she has a team of insurance agents with New York Life, and they're really striving to protect people's futures. And so whatever that looks like for you, how do you know if it's good to be driven, and what that looks like from God's definition? So the fail-proof test is 1 Corinthians 10:31, and in just quick paraphrasing, to do it all for the glory of God. So in other words, doing it for the glory of God, not for the glory of man, not for the glory of the world, not for the glory of what the world will say you'll get when you're successful. So if you think about this kind of jumps around a little bit, but if you think about the story of Noah, and in Noah's time, people constructed a tower to make a name for themselves, because it was all about them and making a name for themselves. And you can see that in Genesis 11:4. They wanted to be famous, and they wanted to, they were driven by the wrong motivation. So how often in our businesses are we driving and striving for that next title or that next incentive or that next promotion or whatever, versus really surrendering our business to the Lord and building it the way he wants it built so that he can bless it? And it's so interesting. I was working with a coaching client recently, and she said, I realized that when I'm praying over things, particularly in my business, I want God to bless what I want versus me operating in the way that he's called me to and him blessing that. And so how often are we expecting him to bless what we want? And so therefore we're not bowing down to him and giving him the glory. We're expecting him to give us the glory. And how different is that from what he wants from us? In contrast to these people in Noah's time building this tower for their own motivations, King Solomon dedicated the Ark of the Covenant, and the Ark of the Covenant held the Ten Commandments, and the new temple that was built to the Lord, in saying, I have built the temple for the name of the Lord. And that's in 1 Kings 8:20. And then he prayed, may he turn our hearts to him. And that's verse 58, so 8:58 of 1 Kings. So again, he was driven by God. And by the way, in case you don't know, Solomon was really one of the wealthiest men ever in history. And when God asked him what he wanted, Solomon asked for wisdom. He didn't ask for stuff. He asked for wisdom. And God said, again, I'm paraphrasing, that he would give him wisdom as well as everything else. So you guys, like, what are we seeking from him as we work to build this business? So in verse 61 of 1 Kings, it says, again, paraphrasing, may our hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by his decrees and obey his commands. When we do that, guys, that is when we are the right kind of driven in his eyes. So I hope that this helped you today in our daily dose. I have a few action items for you. If you like this, if this resonated with you, please put a like, a comment, a heart, something below so that I know this is bringing you value. And feel free to post any questions or comments about it as well so we can engage in great conversation. If there's anyone you know that could benefit from this, feel free to tag them. The third thing is, please head on over to our Success God's Way community. I've created that community specifically for like-minded entrepreneurs who seek to build success God's way and build a God-centered business, a business that will honor God and serve his people. And there's great discussion. I do a weekly dose live over there. Mariana, you are so welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I so appreciate it. I do a weekly dose there. Every Sunday evening. So you can check that out there. And then the last thing is, guys, if there's anyone you know that could benefit for some deeper discussion around this, who maybe is looking for a coach who can help them understand what does it look like to be successful God's way. And maybe they've been active in a business and they've been successful, but they've hit a wall and they're trying to figure out, like, how do I move forward but do that in a way that honors God? It would be my honor to have a conversation with them and see if I'm the right coach for them. So that's your daily dose for Monday. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and stay warm for those of us that are in the cold blast. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.